a guess.
This is Nash Gruner, the son of Olivia Gruner, and you are listening to the UCW radio show, In Your Face.
The number you have reached, 911, has been changed to a non-published number.
You're listening to UCW Radio.
In your face.
Give it to me, baby.
All right, welcome back to the UCW radio show. And as you know, this is the show where we feature celebrities, notables, authors, entertainers, recording artists, up-and-comers. Basically, we feature some pretty great people, inspirational people, just some amazing folk. Now, talking about great and inspirational people, in a minute we are going to bring on our guest, and I know his story will inspire those that ever question whether they could make it or not. They weren't quite sure if they should take the risk in life or not. Well, you will get some affirmation in a minute when we bring on the healthy Irishman Gavan Murphy to the show. Now, what I first need to do is remind all of our listeners to tune in to my other shows, one being Money Never Sleeps, and if you haven't heard of it, I have to ask you why. You got to tune into the show. This is where we feature some of the people that make the money flow in this world. And it's, you know, we're bringing on more and more people so you can get an understanding of what happens in venture capital, real estate, so on and so forth. And it's a pretty in-depth show, so I would tune into it. And my other show, this next show is interesting because we're diving into the business behind the world of fitness, where we're going to be bringing on successful fitness and health pros, not, you know, amateurs, health pros, and we're going to bring them on to talk about the mechanics of making it in the world of fitness, because this is something you really don't hear of out there. So we want to talk about that, and that's for your benefit. Okay, now that this is out of the way, let's bring on our next guest. He comes to us from Los Angeles, California, via Ireland. Without further ado, let's bring on the healthy Irishman, Gavan Murphy, to the show. Gavan, how you doing, buddy? Welcome to the UCW radio show.
Hey, Lou. How are you, pal? Nice to talk to you.
Yeah. Well, nice to have you on. I know that you're busy with things and your company and making people healthier. So I'm glad you took the time out because I know you're pretty exhausted.
You know what? I'm pretty exhausted just because you got to just keep hustling is my mentality. And I have a little 2-year-old boy here, so obviously he keeps me busy as well. So it's all good. It's fun times right now.
Hey, well, you know, you got to keep your hustle on and make things happen. And
you better believe it.
Yeah, and this is what we're going to talk about here, because I want our listeners to get a really good idea of your story, because I find it inspirational, and I'm sure they're going to find it inspirational too. So if we can just go into the beginning stages. I don't even want to talk about where you're at right now. I want to talk about the beginning stages of how you got involved in the culinary arts, how you became a chef. You know, how did that come about?
Well, that all came about. I've been cooking for about 20 odd years. I trained back in Ireland in about 98, something like that. I actually studied marketing and business for 4 years first, and I got a degree in that over in Ireland. And I just decided that I didn't really want to be a suit and tie guy. I didn't want to be a 9-to-5 guy. So I really got into my first cooking job was when I spent a summer, and it was my summer of when I was between third and fourth year in business school. And I went to Martha's Vineyard, and I worked in the kitchen of a restaurant there, washing dishes for 4 months. And I'll tell you what, I never had so much fun and energy and excitement. I just loved the craziness of the kitchen. I loved the authority the chefs had. I just liked the whole nuts atmosphere in there. It was just screaming and shouting and food flying everywhere and noise, and it suited my personality. So I went back and I finished business school because I wanted to have that under my belt. And then broke it to my parents, who, as you can imagine, were ecstatic after spending 4 years of college that I didn't want to do it. Went off and I wanted to become a chef. And they said, okay, well, that's what you want to do. I did a 3-month course in Ireland in a little cookery school in the southwest of Ireland called Ballymaloe, which is a little family-run cooking school on a 100-acre farm and everything. This is back in the day, Lou, when things were actually farm to table. People use these phrases now. This is, 20 years ago, 24 years ago, when it was actually farm to table. We used to go out to the farm, pick the vegetables, bring them into the school, learn how to cook them. It didn't get any more basic than that. And that was very much, very Irish. It was the way to do it. Mm-hmm. It was how I grew up, learning about food, even though I never cooked all the way up.
But doesn't that allow you to respect it a lot more?
Yes, it does. It shows you what goes into making something and to growing a vegetable and to nurturing it, and the flavor by itself is just phenomenal because this is before a lot of the pesticides were put on the food. So it was very clean, and it was just like something like a simple potato or a carrot that I picked. It comes out of the ground, it's got mud and dirt on it, you bring it and you wash it and you cook it in something, and you can enjoy and appreciate that someone took the time to grow that, and now we were learning how to cook it.
But how amazing is it when you pick these vegetables and you put it all together and then you have a finished product and you could sit at the table and look at it and say, well, we grew this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? As you said, it gives you an understanding, gives you an appreciation for where food comes from. Nowadays, I think, a lot of people don't appreciate it as much because you go to the supermarket and there your vegetables are all pretty and clean and nice colors and everything. Obviously, with the influx of farmers markets, particularly over here in the West Coast, and I know there are those everywhere, but they're springing up everywhere, particularly here in LA. So we are starting to come back to appreciate that people actually take the time to grow these fruits and vegetables, and they bring them to us in their most natural form. Mm-hmm. And then we buy them. So we're talking to the farmer who's spending the time and the energy and the money and the resources to put their love into growing this food, to bring it to us. So it is coming back more and more now, which is great for me to see, especially now that I'm a dad. Mm-hmm. I want to teach my son, the basics of food. I mean, you see some of these TV shows. I know Jimmy Oliver had a show, and he was talking to kids about tomatoes and carrots, and they thought they just came from the supermarket. They didn't know they were grown in the ground or on a vine. And this is, those are scary thoughts. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they are.
But now our kids are picking up more about where food comes from, so hopefully they're learning to appreciate it more.
And, for you as a businessman, and you get vegetables every day because you're preparing stuff. It's cost effective when you're able to get things locally.
Well, it is. Of course, that's the number one thing. Also, high on my agenda is the fact that I'm supporting the local farmers because mm-hmm. these are people who are giving their heart and soul. This is their livelihood. They have families to support. And people are willing to support, and that's what the farmers markets are all about. It's going back to basics. It's kind of my cooking style, which comes full circle, which I'm sure we'll get to, back obviously me being Irish. But it's, I feel good supporting the farmers because I know I'm helping them to grow their business and to support their families. And for me, that's the bottom line.
Well, I think it's amazing because I know, look, in New York, you have one of the largest rooftop organic farms in the country, if not the world, in Brooklyn, New York. Okay, and it's pretty cool because you're able to, they have the farm, they have everything on a big roof, and right. You're able to grow this stuff and distribute locally. And if you're able to do that, and you're absolutely correct, you're able to actually go and support, local businesses and things of that nature, and you support your community. So mm-hmm. For you, it's like bringing you back in history.
It's going all the way back to how it was. I mean, back in the, in the Paleolithic times when people were harvesters and they used to just go out and hunt and gather, mm-hmm. and that's all they had to eat. Obviously, we're in a different generation now, I appreciate, but I like that kind of basic element to it. Mm-hmm. Something is grown in the ground and you pick it and you cook it and you eat it, or you don't cook it, you eat it in its raw form, which obviously has more nutrients in it. But for me, that's very important. It's very important in my style of cooking, which goes back to how I grew up.
Well, let me ask you this, Gavin. Now, you were learning how to cook on the 100-acre farm, and you were growing everything on the farm, obviously, and bringing back stuff and cooking. Now, what happened when you graduated? What brought you to the States to do this?
I'll tell you what it is, Lou. Growing up in Ireland, I'm not sure if you know this, but it tends to rain on occasion. And by that, then it's also quite dark. And for me, the weather was the number one thing. So I had come over to sunny California before I had moved here. And the ocean's very important to me because I grew up by the ocean in Ireland, and I find the ocean to be very
tranquil,
very calming for me. So I knew I wanted to come somewhere by the ocean. So I was over here. I was staying in Santa Monica. Loved the weather. Loved the lifestyle. That was it. The sunshine brought me over here.
And
very basic.
And then that drew you in, so you decided to take the leap. Yeah, that's a risk, my man. That's a risk.
You know what it was, Lou? For me, it wasn't. It was a calculated risk because I knew that I was bringing something to the table, and I just, I like to take chances. So I just I bought a ticket and I came over here by myself. I had a buddy of mine back home. His brother lives here, so he was my only contact. So I was able to touch base with him, and I basically just bought a ticket and jumped ship.
Okay, you bought a ticket. You only knew one person. You didn't know anyone else.
One person in LA. One person, didn't have any contact for anything else. So
and you had no job. You had nothing lined up.
Nothing at all. I was here with a backpack, and I had some money that I borrowed from my dad, and here I was in California, and that was it. I had no game plan. Except I wanted a suntan.
Yeah, well, you get that. You'll get that 7 days a week.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah, but going and rolling the dice like that and taking that type of a risk is not even a calculated risk. It has to do with you believing that there's something better for you.
For me, there was a bigger picture than me living in Ireland and kind of doing what a lot of people were doing, which is the 9-to-5 job. It just wasn't for me. Now, before I moved over here, I lived in London for a couple of years. But again, I was close enough to Ireland. I could jump on a plane and be back home in an hour. So there was still a kind of a safety net there. But I figured I needed to push the envelope a little further. California was the lucky recipient of me. I don't know how lucky it was, but here I am.
Well, you're doing a lot of great things over there, and that's for sure. And that's something we're gonna get into a little bit later. So I want to hear more about the story. So you have your backpack, you hit LA, and you see the surf, you see the sun, you see the suntanned chicks walking around, and basically, what was your first move?
My first move. Well, I stayed with my buddy. I slept in his couch for 3 months. And just kind of met some of his friends around the place, just, tried to, kind of fit in with the life and try to get a, kind of a hold on it, living in Santa Monica. He had a friend who worked in a catering company. She was a waitress or server in a catering company. She got me in with somebody there. So I went and I had a interview with them, and they put me on a catering job. And that was the first company I worked for. And then the beauty about working in that industry in this town, which obviously I learned over the years, is everybody's freelance. All the servers are freelance, the chefs are all freelance. So they work for various companies all over the city. So, I got my head down. I work hard. I can vividly remember the very first catering job I did for this company. And I just hustled, man. I just grafted. I got in there. I was appreciative of having a job, so I just worked. And then through other people I met that night, they put me in contact with other companies. And pretty soon I was working for 4 or 5 different companies. I was working 7 days a week. Just now also in LA, I don't know if you know. Well, you've lived here. Yeah. Having a car is a necessity.
It's vital.
I didn't have a car.
It's vital to survive.
It is, because it's such a vast city. Yep. Now, I didn't have a car here for the first 2.5 years, so I was on the buses and I bought myself a bicycle. So what I would do is I I would cycle to the bus stop, throw my bike on the bus, and then I would cycle up to these beautiful big houses in Beverly Hills and Bel Air. And these are houses that I've seen on television growing up in Ireland. You know, I mean, I've never pictured myself in any of these houses, or else I would end up walking kind of up. I remember one time I walked up Stone Canyon, which is a canyon that goes up Bel Air for like 2 miles in the middle of summer in 80 degrees, walking to the job. So, you know, listen, man, these are things that that you do. You know, you either want to do it or you don't do it.
Right.
I made a conscious choice to come over here and to hustle and to make something of myself. So that was a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, you know, I love it. I love it. And the reason why is that people take things for granted. Okay,
yeah.
You know, and especially in this country, there's a thing with being entitled. People think that they're entitled to get everything given to them on a silver platter, and that's not how that's not what this country was built on. It was built on people, coming, rolling the dice, taking that risk. And putting it all out there and becoming a success. I know so many people that have done that, and you're one of them, Gavin, because you put everything. I mean, walking 2 miles to a job because you had to.
Well, just because I had to, but also because someone had given me the opportunity to work and asked me to work. I certainly wasn't going to say no. So I was working 7 days a week if someone asked me for a job. And I'll tell you something, Lou, I kind of learned something from my dad, who started his own business back in Ireland. He was an insurance broker and in real estate for a period of time. And my dad was, had a solid work ethic, and that's definitely where I got it from. There's no doubt about that. But I've never turned down a job, ever, because my mentality, my thought process is if I turn it down, and if they ask somebody else to do it, and if they do a better job than me, I'm out.
Right.
So I've never, and to this day, I've never turned down a job. I just make it work. If I have to bring in somebody to help me do it or whatever it is, in my personal chefing or my catering business, which we'll get into, I just don't. It's just, the way I was raised. It's a different work ethic, maybe. I don't know.
No, you know what's funny? And Richard Branson, he said this. And I agree with it because I say it all the time. He said that if you're offered an opportunity, a unique opportunity, just an opportunity in general, and you think it's too big for you, take it anyway because you don't know where it's going to lead you.
Yeah.
You don't know. No,
I'm a firm, yeah. If someone's going to take the chance on me, I'm going to reciprocate with that. I'm going to do my best.
Yeah, and look. I mean, we're going to go into in a little while, what you've done. But I do want to say something. I just want to go back to what I said a minute ago. That you had to do it. It's not just having to do it. Is having that passion that you're doing something and you have a long-term plan. So you'll do whatever you need to do. If you needed to shovel door crap to do it, you would, because you know what your end picture is.
You have to have a vision in your head, the end result. It doesn't matter how you get from A to B. You can take 55 different angles to get there, but you need to see B in your, in your vision, or Z, or whatever it is. You need to see your end plan and what you're looking to get. Mm-hmm. That has to be in your head every single day. There is nothing, you cannot waver from that vision, but you can't question how you're going to get there. So I didn't, I've had my vision in my head for years and years. I'm still on my path to getting there, but I've taken some fantastic roads in the meantime that I would not have pictured myself taking. But of course, that's half the excitement, though, is taking a chance and see where it leads. You got to take a chance, that.
You have to roll the dice. You have to take that chance. And on that note, Gavin, what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break. So I want our listeners to stick with us and listen to the tune that we're going to play. And we're going to be back on the UCW radio show with Gavan Murphy, and we're going to talk about what he's doing now. So stick with us.
I'm burning up, my heart's afflicted. I miss your touch, got you so addicted. Won't you put me out of my misery? I need a fix. You're my favorite drug. Can you take me high? One hit ain't enough. So light me up like a spark, want it all tonight. I need your take me high. One hit ain't enough. So light me up like a spark, want it all tonight. I need your love. Got me going crazy, won't you save me? Show me your love, show me your love, show me your love, your love.
I'm so addicted, you can't resist it. And when I'm gone, I know you miss this. I give you all of it, cause I know exactly what you wanna get. You want that love, baby. No ifs, no buts, or maybes. You want it guaranteed, and I promise I'll never leave. DJ, you gotta play this. Got my girl intoxicated, elevated, highly rated. I mean it, that's why I say it. So whenever you need that fix, call me, and I'll rush like a blitz. I just wanna kiss you on the lips.
I need your love. Got me going crazy, won't you save me? Show me your love, show me your love, show me your love, show me your love, show me your love. Your love, 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 your love. I need your love. Got me going crazy, won't you save me? Your love, show me your love, show me your love, your love.
All right, welcome back to the UCW Radio Show, and we've been speaking with Gavan Murphy, the healthy Irishman, and we're going to go into, we talked about how he got to where he's at now. Now we're going to talk about where he's at now. So, Gavan, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so now let's get into it. You know, we talked about your the struggles and everything you had to actually go through to make it to where you're at. The one thing that we left off on was basically, you know, how did you get to the point that you started doing your own thing? Because there's a really good story with that, and I love the story, and I want you to tell us about it.
Okay. Well, you know, as we said before the break, obviously, you have to have your vision in mind of what you're trying to achieve in your life. Obviously, it doesn't have to be the be-all, end-all, but you have to have an idea of which direction you want to go and what you're trying to accomplish. And the path to get there can take you in a million different directions. So I started working off a catering company, started working for a bunch of different catering companies in LA. And one day I had worked for this lady called Akasha Richmond. She's a restaurant here in LA, and she's a good friend of mine. She called me one day. I can remember vividly. She said she got a call from this PR company, and they were hired by a sports supplement company called EAS, who make a bunch of these, you know, nutrition drinks and bars and stuff.
Yeah, it's just a little company, a little itty bitty company.
Just a small little supplement company,
yeah.
You know, a couple $100 million, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
And anyway, so they had a fitness program, a fitness food program that they were trying to entice Cindy Crawford to become a spokesperson for, and they needed someone to cook this food, which is like a balance of carbs, proteins, fats, and deliver the food to her. They had called Akasha. She couldn't do it, so she called me. What do you think a guy from Ireland said? Do you want to cook for Cindy Crawford? Clearly, I said, yes. I was no dummy. You better believe it. So basically, the guy from the southwest coast of Ireland, his first client in LA was Cindy Crawford. Now, that's not too shabby, right?
That's Hollywood, baby. That's Hollywood.
That's Hollywood, right? It's where dreams come true.
Yeah.
So I worked for Cindy, cooking these meals. You know, it's meals that I designed. It was nothing too complicated, but it was a fine balance because I was into fitness then. I was getting into nutrition. I was learning more about it, just for myself, not for my clients. But as we'll find out, it's just transitioned that way. And I worked for her for a number of months, doing this program, and then worked for the company doing trade. They brought me in to do trade shows and all that. The cooking demonstrations, all these things. then I started working for some of her friends, just doing dinner parties and stuff. And so here I was cooking for all these people I had seen on TV and magazines, and there I am in their homes cooking for them. From there, I just started kind of getting more into personal chefing.
But I want to stop you for a second, Gavin.
Mm-hmm.
See, I want people that are listening to the show to see it was one opportunity that was taken. It was one instance where someone opened the door for you that allowed you to like blossom. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Well, I mean, you get an opportunity, Lou, right? I got that phone call. I could have reacted in two different ways. I could have reacted the way I reacted, which is to grab it by the balls and say, yeah, you better believe it. Or I could have been intimidated and said, well, I'm not really an expert in kind of, that type of food. Or what if they don't like me? Or maybe I'm not the right person for it. And there's a massive opportunity lost if you don't take it. If I had taken it, which I did, and I was mediocre, but at least I would have taken the risk.
Right. Well,
it could have gone both ways. It could have gone the bad way too. It didn't, thank God.
Well, thank God.
But you never know until you try, right?
Right. But if you didn't take that, and we're going to go into certain things now, you would not have everything that's around you today if you didn't take that opportunity. And that's the beauty of just kind of looking at every opportunity. Every day there's an opportunity. Yeah, you have to seize it. You can't question. You can't look a gift horse in the mouth. A lot of people do that.
You can't question it. It's been presented to you for a reason.
Yeah.
Just go for it, man. You've nothing to lose.
No.
Just do it. Give it all you've got.
No.
And see what happens.
But what's the worst thing? You fail? Okay, then you back to the drawing board and you just keep rolling.
And then you learn from that, hopefully. And then you use that for the next opportunity.
Right. So now let's get into you were doing you were a personal chef for Cindy Crawford. You were doing everything and meeting with you were getting referred to her friends and doing the dinner parties and let's go from there. What else transpired? Well, then from there I started being asked to do more sort of larger events, barbecues, things of that nature. More sort of 20, 30, 40, 50 people type events. Well, let's define barbecue so that our listeners understand what a Hollywood style barbecue is not the barbecue you have in your backyard on a Sunday.
No, this is more of a catered event where you might have you have waiters and bartenders and valets. You may have music. There's kind of rental companies. You got to get permits. There's a lot of more intricate things involved than me just rolling up to someone's house with some steaks and throwing them on the grill.
That's what I wanted to get to.
Yeah, so it's more of now it's starting to take shape into more of a business for me, as opposed to me just going to someone's house.
Right.
So I had done a couple of these by myself, just kind of winging it, just kind of trying to figure out as I go along. And then my good lady wife, Christy, came into the mix, and so we set up our company.
But how, that's the part that I find interesting. How did you guys connect?
We connected in true Irish fashion in a pub, and that's no word of a lie. We were out. I was out for a couple of drinks on a Sunday afternoon in summer in Venice with my buddy. Actually, interestingly enough, the same guy I met, my friend's brother who lives here, the guy I stayed with all those years ago. I was out for a drink with him, who I'm still in contact with, and there was a couple of girls and a guy up at the bar, and the place was quiet. And I said, well, I'm kind of sick of looking at you, so I'm going to go up here and I'm going to talk to this girl. And that was pretty much it. The writing was on the wall. I plied her with drink, and she didn't know what I was talking about because she didn't understand my accent. And I just kept buying her beers, so she thought I was very charming because I was buying her beers. And that was it. We just kind of connected and we started hanging out. And here we are, married with a little baby.
And that's what I kind of was saying earlier, that if you didn't take the opportunity, that day wouldn't have happened. If you didn't go to the pub that day, certain things wouldn't have happened, and it was just you seizing the opportunity. And And your wife Chrissy, she's your partner not only in life but in business and everything else.
We set up the company together. She actually came up with the name because my style of cooking is very clean. It's very healthy. It's very it's very simple, if you will, but it's homely. and I'm a very strict eater myself. I work out. I take care of myself. So we were just sitting here one day, and we had decided to set up the catering company. And she said, how about the Healthy Irishman? And of course, those two words in itself would never be in the same sentence.
Well, I mean, but she has her own deal.
Exactly. Well, she's a vegetarian Texan, which doesn't make any sense either. So we just seem to, our two names just seem to mesh well together. Yeah. And yes, Christy runs the business. She runs the books and the money side of it, which is great, because I don't have the patience to sit down doing it. The downside of that, of course, is I don't know where my money is.
But you're married. You're not going to know anyway. What difference does it make?
That's so it comes in. I hand her the check, and that's pretty much it.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's marriage, my man. That's marriage.
Yeah, but it works out good. She has a mind for numbers and figures, and I'm the more creative one, and I'm out there moving about and doing my thing, and it works perfectly well.
Well, I have to say this, that, your wife and how you guys, and I said this to you off air, I'm going to say it on the show, that the way you guys connected and what you've done and how you build and how you are building, I love it, because, there's nothing better than having that person sitting by your side that's there with you for a pound or a penny or a pound, however you want to put it, and is there for you, with you through everything that you're going through. And when you hit that high note, it's always so sweet. I can't even express it. It's so nice to have that person by your side to say, hey, you know what? We made it. Not I made it. We made it.
Listen, anybody who tells you that they've made it by themselves is an absolute liar. There's no way anybody has made it to where they are by themselves. Even if it is, a wife or a partner or a good friend or whatever it is, somebody always has somebody with them that they can bounce ideas off, or that's someone who pushes them or helps them formulate an idea, whatever it is. So everybody has a team, and it could be a team of 2, it could be a team of 200, it doesn't matter. But everybody has somebody, and everybody needs somebody for that particular reason. Yeah. To support in the family situation or the business. I'm fortunate enough to have, 2 and 1 over here. So, I just got lucky that way.
You did get lucky that way. And, look, there's nothing, as I said, there's nothing better than having someone that understands what you're going through, that's there for you. And, when you have that bad day, she knows why.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm, if you can picture this, I'm taking a glass up. There's nothing in it. I'm not drinking, but taking a glass up to your wife, Christy, because to have someone by your side like that, it helps you to even become more successful. So
you better believe it. Yeah. It's just and it's a very it's a very comforting thing knowing there is someone there by your side, even if I'm stressed out. I've got 500 things going on at the same time. She knows what's going on at the same time, so she knows when to kind of, try to help me out with something, or when to leave me alone, or when to, just to try and take over and, try and take some pressure off me. Having that sort of companion and that sort of support group is really, really crucial.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? I was thinking, your son is how old now?
He's just over 2. He's just turned 2.
He's 2. Because you talked about you were talking about your accent. She has an accent too. So it's going to be interesting.
Well, actually, it's funny because my sister, my family all live in Ireland. My sister was saying to me, and it didn't even dawn on me. She was saying, when Dylan comes home, my son, he's going to have an American accent, and I didn't even think about that. But of course, I have an Irish accent. My wife's from Texas, and he's going to have some sort of whatever accent. Yeah. Some sort of combo of the two.
California. It's called California.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
California Irish accent. I don't know. I'm going to have to put some Irish twang in his voice.
Hey, you know what? I'll even throw this out there. I'll call it the Mike O'Hearn.
The Mike O'Hearn accent.
There you go.
I like it. The O'Hearn Irish accent.
The O'Hearn Irish accent. But no, it's going to be interesting. It's going. You know what? It creates a good situation in the home. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
now you have your catering business. Let's talk about that, because as I said earlier, I see, like, you are where you're at right now. I see you. I mean, you're not even close to hitting your peak. You're nowhere near that, Gavin. Okay, you have I mean, the mountain is there for you, and I know that in the coming years that you're going to be like this celebrity chef guy, more so than you are right now.
I do have my end picture or my bigger picture in my head, which, as we talked about earlier, hasn't wavered. I know the direction I'm going in. Obviously, do I know how I'm going to get there? I haven't a clue. But I know that I'm making strides towards it. Listen, it's just to say, and you could be, just kind of working every day, doing your thing, and it could feel like you're being stagnant, and you're not making progress, and just something small can just happen, a conversation, or you and I met, and we met through social media. Obviously, we've mutual friends, but but we just kind of, talked, and that's how we became friends. But something small like that, when you asked me to be on the show, and I can remember it was a Sunday night, and I got, and you contacted me and asked me to be on the show, and I was thinking, God, that'd be really cool, because then I can start, I can talk about my story. It's just small things like that, Lou, that suddenly kind of get you invigorated again and kind of move you a little stronger, get some wind in your sails. So I know where I'm headed, and no, I don't feel like I've even touched second gear yet for where I'm heading, but I'm super excited about it.
Well, I know that you haven't, and I know you have a long way to go, but it's going to be a beautiful journey. And, with your wife, the wife that you have by your side, there's no doubt in my mind she's going to be riding you like a Texas Bronco. She's going to be riding you to make stuff happen. Okay, and that's just
She's
beautiful.
Definitely pushing.
Yeah, you get stuff done. Now let's talk about your catering business, because I want people to know about it, and then we're going to give the website information. And you know what? Let's also give a plug for your friend that actually opened up the door for you, because I think that people should know who she is, more so.
So, my friend who got me that very first gig, is that who you're talking about?
Yes.
Akasha Richmond, Akasha. She's a restaurant in Culver City. Just look up Akasha. She is the lady that got me that first gig with Cindy back in 2004. So God, it's like 10 years. I've been here for 14 years, so that was 10 years. So I was only here 4 years, which sounds like a long time, but when you come to a brand new country and you don't know anybody, making that, that in my book is making some good progress, but it was that one phone call that changed everything. So and I'm still in contact with her, and I thank her a lot kind of randomly. But Akasha is a good friend of mine, and she was fantastic to kind of refer me to that job. So please look her up.
Just look up Akasha Restaurant. I believe that's
Akasha Restaurant, and that's who it is.
Yeah,
she used to be Michael Jackson's chef back in the day. She used to work for him for years, so she's well connected in the game too.
Yeah, you know what? She may be a guest on this show as well, because I like people that help people, and there's nothing better than that. So now let's talk about your catering business, and let's talk about that.
My catering business is called The Healthy Irishman, interesting enough. And we've done all sorts of events. We've been very, very fortunate in this town to be connected with some really interesting people in the industry or otherwise. But we do parties for whoever picks up the phone and calls me. I'd be more than happy to do an event for you. Obviously, you can get in contact with me through my website, which is gavanmurphy.com, GAVANMURPHY, the Irish spelling for Gavin. And there's contact info there for everything you might need.
Okay, great. And I think that also, let's give your social media, your Twitter and stuff like that, so people can follow. Yeah, so people can follow you, because as I said earlier, if I was a betting man, which I may be, I would bet and say that this time next year, the conversation that you and I are going to have is going to be much, much different.
Well, I'm excited about that conversation. And in fact, we should set that down, just because that's always good to have a little bit of something to kind of push you forward. You're having a deadline for me works well, because it gives me something to aim for. But I would love to have that conversation and see where we are.
And we are. We're definitely going to do that 12 months from today.
12 months from today. I like it. My social media, Lou, on Twitter, @HealthyIrishman. Pretty simple. My Facebook is The Healthy Irishman, THE, or The Healthy Irishman. And Instagram, if any of you guys are on there, I post a bunch of foodie pics, just random stuff. Gavan Murphy, GAVANMURPHY. And you know what? Shoot me off questions. I love when people ask me questions about food, and obviously fitness is another passion of mine. I'm moving more into that market now, food and fitness and all that sort of stuff. So I'm very much into all of that.
Well, Gavin, that's great stuff. And I want to let our listeners know, if ever you had any doubt that the American dream is dead, trust me, it's not. Look at someone like Gavan Murphy. Look at what he's done, what he's doing. Okay, and trust me, he's going to be in your homes. And within 12 months, he's going to be in your homes. That's all I'm going to say about that. So I'm banking on it. Yeah, 12 months. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. All right, so I want everyone, just go check him out on social media. Go to gavanmurphy.com. Check out the story. Trust me, you will be inspired. Gavin, I want to thank you for coming on the show, and we're gonna revisit this in 12 months, and we're gonna bring you back on.
Lou, it was awesome. I really enjoyed our chat. Thanks for having me on.
Good, thank you.
Initiating shutdown sequence.
You're listening to UCW Radio. In your face.
What is your major malfunction?
So let it be written. So let it be done.
Ladies and gentlemen, my mother thanks you, my father thanks you, my sister thanks you, and I thank you.